Today we want to share stories of how God has reached out and touched us. We're talking about the grace of God. Let me tell you a brief story. When we moved to Vancouver, we spent every dollar that we had on building a new house. I didn't have enough money to buy groceries for the end of the month. And so I prayed, God, we need $250. That night, the axle broke on my old VW bus, and the repair would cost $250. I said, God, that's not what I asked for. The next day, a friend, who I'm positive didn't know of my need, gave me a check, and he said, somehow I feel that you need this. It was $500. Somehow that spoke to me as the grace of God, that God gives us what we need, not merely what we deserve or what we want to have. We're happy to be able to connect with Dr. Nakhle of Nazareth in Israel, and we've asked him to share something about the grace of God with us. He's from the Eastern tradition, and I believe we have a lot to learn from that. He was one of the founders or creators of Nazareth Village, which has been a witness to thousands of people. So, Dr. Nakhle, can you tell us something of your story about how you understand the grace of God?
I grew up as a child in the Greek Orthodox Church. My parents sent me to the Franciscan school in Nazareth. So I grew up in the Greek Orthodox Church, and in the school I was practicing with the Roman Catholics, and relations were not good in between the Orthodox and the Roman Catholics. When the nun would come into the class, we have to stand on the right side of the bench. And then when she gives us permission, we would sit down, and then she would say, who are the heretics? And all in one voice, we would say, the heretics are the Greek Orthodox. Good boys, and sit down now. As a child, I did not know even what heretic mean. I know that it was a bad something. One day, something did upset me a great deal. The nun came Monday morning and she said, I would like to know, where did you pray yesterday, the Sunday service? Yeah. And one answered in the Roman Catholic, very good. I was ashamed to answer. One of the girls said, I went to the Orthodox Church. To the Orthodox Church? It means there you pray to Satan. This upset me a great deal. So I went to my father and I said, Dad, I have a question for you. Is it true that we, the Orthodox, we pray to Satan when we pray in our church? And my dad looked at me in a very strange way. This question is coming. Yeah. And he said, what happened, Nakhle? Tell me. I said, this is what the nun said. She said, I don't know to answer you. You go to your grandfather. My grandfather was a wise man, yeah? And later on I realized how wise his answer was. So I went to my grandpa, told him, Grandpa, this is what happened, so tell me now. And he said, look, Nakhle, when you pray in your heart, and Jesus lives in your heart. He does not live here or there. And he does not live in a specific place. He lives in the hearts of people. So this answer gave me a lot of comfort. It means that I could continue to pray with the Roman Catholics, and I could continue to pray with the Orthodox. Because I really felt, which even sometimes as I grew up, I started to lose that feeling in a way. I'm trying to be as true to myself when I tell you I started to lose that feeling, but I still remember it very well from my childhood. It's there that I felt at home, if I could use that expression. And sometimes I wonder and I wish I even have a deeper understanding of when Jesus talked about let the small children come to me, because they come to him with innocent hearts. And I remember how, as a child, praying at the church, I was feeling like being at home with someone at home, real at home.
That's a beautiful story, and I especially like that the counsel of your grandfather, that Jesus lives in our heart, and you have felt that, and you felt that in the liturgy.
When you pray the liturgy, you feel as if your duties, and you feel at peace when you are within the community in the church. And when you go outside, living in the world, as if the rules are different. So with the world, you behave like in the world, and in the church, you live a certain dichotomy. And I wondered, because what I saw from the Mennonites and the Protestants in general, all the that I shared my faith with, that Christian commitment is a daily commitment of walking with Jesus inside the church and outside the church, inside the community and outside the community. We humans, we are weak. We are sinners. Sometimes we behave as stupids. Sometimes we wish to totally forget a stupid act that I have done, or we have done in many too. But I admit myself. And the kind of peace that I would realize knowing the inner peace that I talked to you about when I was a small child, I start to regain it praying with the Protestants in the Nazareth Hospital, and especially the Mennonites.
Well, you're very kind. You indeed have experienced the grace of God. The grace of God is when God gives us something that we need, and you needed that kind of sense of affirmation and His presence.
Yes.
So you are saying that the
Yeah.
vision of Nazareth Village is really a gift of God. You didn't earn it, you didn't buy it, you didn't
No,
deserve
no,
it. It was
no.
given to you.
Yes, I talked about it, but then after that, once we were able to come together as a group, this group are responsible. This group as a group, not me, Nakhle, but as a group, because we sensed that the grace of God, the Spirit of God was leading us in a way.
That
But
sounds like the grace of God to me.
this is where I feel was the grace of God, because we received a gift,
And
not
how does it make you feel when you receive a gift like that?
very humbled, because in order to receive the gift of God, the first condition is to be humble enough to learn humility. If it comes from just one person, then it would be biased. It won't be authentic. It won't be right. But when it comes through the scrutiny and through the work and prayers of a group of people, uh, we would admonish one another, teach one another, learn from one another. The first condition to accept this is to be humble enough to receive the gift of God, because pride is the biggest barrier to receive the grace of God, and so abundant. When we are so, then it becomes so abundant as we have experienced.
The grace of God is universal. We've heard stories about how that's working in the Middle East or in Israel, and it works in each of our lives. I would encourage you to help each other share your stories. How have you received the grace of God? How have you received something that you needed and wasn't because you deserved it or you earned it or you bought it, but it was just plain a gift? God takes initiative to give gifts to us, gifts of forgiveness, gifts of acceptance, gifts of love. Share those with each other.